Okay, so it seems like anytime the Horizon franchise, the Zero franchise, not the racing one, is mentioned in any sort of capacity, it's always surrounded by like a very, very dumb controversy. If you guys remember when they first released footage and or trailers or just anything really related to Horizon Forbidden West, there was a contingent of gamers on the internet who were upset that Aloy wasn't hot anymore, that she, living in a post-apocalyptic world, should put on some makeup, maybe smile a bit more. Do you guys remember that haunting image of her with a fake smile and all dolled up? If you don't, here it is again to remind you.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
Yeah, so that was the controversy around the game. Pretty much everyone else enjoyed the game for what it was. It's gotten a lot of good reviews, at least from critics. I say at least from critics because this recent DLC, The Burning Shores, there has been an uptick in stupid controversy. But this one has a little bit more bite to it because it ties in much more with the growing sentiment happening across the country and really our very real world. So in the newest expansion, spoiler alerts, by the way, in the newest expansion, Aloy has the opportunity to seek a romantic relationship with a woman. And that seems to be the big divide. Aloy can kiss a girl, which is weird that that's even a sentence I have to say in 2023 and then the word controversial after that. But yes, Aloy kissing a girl is now this huge controversy. Suddenly the game's getting too political, which we'll get to in a minute. But I want to show you guys some of the review bombings that's been happening, particularly on Metacritic. And so we're going to just go through a couple of them, just so you guys can get a real sense of just the kind of people who are out there being upset about stuff like this. All right, so we're starting off strong with enough with the politics agendas. Learn from Japanese studios like From Software how to focus on gameplay and story without all the crap you put in your games. You ruined another beloved game for me. Thanks, Sony. Learn from the people doing the Armored Core games? You want me to learn from people doing Armored Core games? Do they think there are no politics in Dark Souls? Or in Bloodborne? Or in Sekiro? Pretty sure Sekiro explicitly was political, right? Like that was the entire thing. You had the entire, the Interior Ministry attacking. You had people trying to kidnap the prince because of his powers to use to gain power with Japan. Like it was a very political game, but I think people think politics is just voting. But weird that was this person's takeaway from the FromSoft games. And also, I can't stress this enough. Horizon series has been about politics. Literally, the Earth was destroyed due to capitalism. That was the whole point of how we got there. But moving on. Well, another one bites the dust. The first game was rather nice. I have liked it very much. Not so the second game, which had almost the same concept but with horrible story and bland characters. The DLC tops this and brings in even politics and propaganda. Trying to compensate for the quality and content with it is absolutely lacking. For anyone who doesn't understand, keeping the political agenda does not fill the void of a well done game. It would have been nice if DLC learns from the mistakes of the main game, but sadly it didn't. So this review doesn't offer anything, right? It just says first game's nice, this one's not so nice, and then just says horrible story and bland characters. What about the story is horrible? What makes the characters bland? Like, if you're gonna leave a review, actually review the game, and then you say even politics and propaganda. The propaganda they're hinting at, by the way, again, is a woman kissing a woman. That is somehow propaganda. And once again, this game was inherently political. So I feel like that one meme when someone's looking at the Gundam robot and then they're just like, wow, big robot. And they're just missing the point because the whole game was political from the jump. You can't separate the two. Oh, visually look awesome. But what about storytelling? Aloy, lesbian. What are you doing, Sony and Guerrilla? Really? Stop doing it with your characters. That's awful plot. You create a wonderful world and absolutely awful minor characters. Bad, really bad. I love this franchise and I don't want to see how you'll destroy it. And now I'm start thinking about 3-part and it scares me. I thought I was having a stroke reading this, but just gonna broken loop here. What's wrong with the storytelling? Aloy being a lesbian is really what I feel like you're upset about with this here, and now you're saying that that's the plot. You created a wonderful world which would include the plot, and then absolutely awful minor characters. I'm assuming, and this might be of my end, might be making a mistake, but the girl that she kisses, the optional kiss, is considered the awful minor characters. It's very strange how people are so upset about this one instance. The DLC is absolutely terrible and not worth anyone's time. The story is poorly written. Even if you have enjoyed the main game, the DLC make you hate it. Avoid at all costs, as it is not worth the money. Again, a nothing burger. Just tells you nothing. It says the game was poorly written. Even if you enjoy the main game, the DLC make you hate it. How? Why would it make you hate the main game? It's not the same writers doing this? So they can make a whole full-ass game, but like a 4-hour DLC makes you hate the entire game? Again, an optional DLC makes you hate the entire main game? Like, I feel like people are not understanding this is completely optional. You don't have to engage with this. Here we go. There's only 4 hours of gameplay from the main story content. Side quests are repetitive. Gameplay is as weak as the main game. Story is snoozing and predictable. Just wait for the DLC free on PSN or have a major discount and PSC 1 year late. You won't miss anything. April definitely have better choices game than this DLC. Okay, so this one and the next two interest me because I was starting to sense a pattern here. It felt like these were just bot accounts, people who didn't actually have any other views for any other place. I mean, first and foremost, you're telling me the side quests are repetitive, gameplay is weak as the main game, and yet you want me to wait for the DLC. Shouldn't I just not play the DLC at all? And should I just not play the second game at all if the gameplay is weak and repetitive? But I dug into this one because I was curious as to what other games they had reviewed. And surprise, surprise, this was the only one. This was the only game they reviewed. The only one. And then I found another account, which was Coney 2012. Here it is. Only other game was reviewed is this one. Boring, dull story, rating may be harsh, but in comparison to the predecessors, this was more on the boring side. Very fake feeling to this story. That makes some kind of sense, I guess, to someone. This is one of my favorite ones though. Hey Sony PlayStation, this is enough. You must see a solution to this issue of the agenda. We are in a world of entertainment, not in a world full of deviant and misguided ideas. We are in a world of playing simply and rejoicing. We need a quick solution so that the PlayStation brand does not end. I want you guys to remember, this is the game about, well, not even about, but this part of the DLC is a same-sex relationship, a kiss, right? So now I clicked on this person's account. Oh, they actually reviewed other games. They gave God of War 10 out of 10. They gave Gotham Knights way too high of a score with a 9. They gave Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy 10 out of 10. Little Nightmares 10 out of 10. Marvel's Avengers an 8. Ghost of Tsushima a 10. And then look at the only other game that got a 0 from them. The Last of Us Part 2. Couldn't imagine why The Last of Us Part 2 would have also gotten a 0, just like The Burning Shores. Weird. I wonder what element of that game and this DLC are in common to elicit the same score. Then we just have a couple more. DLC is adding anything to the main story, not a great story, a new DLC for agenda, and we don't want that anymore. Now this one is a little bit lengthy, but I think it's very important to read. So I absolutely love Zero Dawn, and Forbidden West was okay, really more of the same. One of the best things about this game was the need for Aloy to focus all of her time on saving the planet from certain doom and rejecting anything else, like a true soldier does. Very refreshing. The fact that this DLC is so small and that Aloy suddenly has time to develop a relationship with someone that she just met is absurd and takes away from the franchise as a whole. Any relationship, straight, gay, beast, whatever, this franchise did not need this new addition as it is irrelevant to the foundation and the lore of the series. Aloy has clearly showed that she has one objective, and I guess she has forgotten what it was. What's next? Is she going to is she going to build a house and start a family? Too soon, Gorilla. The war is far from over. Forcing dumb shit in a post-apocalyptic game is like making a Terminator turn into a love-making machine. Until last week, I viewed Aloy as a hardcore machine-murdering soldier, hell-bent on saving the entire planet. Now she's just weak and vulnerable like everyone else and can't keep her pants on. So disappointing. I cannot stress to you enough that this is all of this is from an optional dialogue. You can choose to not pursue the relationship. Like, it's not mandatory. You know how, like, in Mass Effect, how Shepard was this man or woman hell-bent on a mission to save the galaxy from the Reapers, yet still had romantic options that you didn't have to use? You didn't have to romance anyone. There was nothing critical to the story that requires you being in a relationship with any party member. Those are all just optional romance side quests that you could partake in. That doesn't take away from the fact that Shepard was this badass military person who was on a mission to save the galaxy. Much like how Aloy is a badass post-apocalyptic warrior on a mission to save the Earth. Having the option to kiss someone does not suddenly mean she's going to abandon her mission and start a family. And also, what makes that person weak and vulnerable? Kissing a woman? Then shit, I'm weak as fuck. Ha. Giga Chad.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
But seriously, arguments like this are so stupid. Because it just proves people's insane biases towards other groups of people. None of these reviews have anything to do with the actual quality of the game. They're all pissed that in a video game in 2023, you have the option of kissing a woman. And maybe this is going to be a bit misogynistic from me, but what happened to like bros and gamers being like, oh, girls making out hot, good stuff? Like, did we become, as a community, just so homophobic that like even that became bad? Like, even from a pure objective, like just objectification standpoint, that's not good anymore either? This has got to stop. This has absolutely got to stop. And I know I'm getting on my soapbox, but what the fuck? I don't care. People who are queer have always existed throughout history. And now that they have a little bit of representation in our media, you guys can't handle it. You guys have no problem with heterosexuality being forced down your throats. You have no problem with, again, Shepard boning aliens. You have no problem with Kratos boning random chicks in the original games. You guys have no problem with Nathan Drake being in a relationship with women. You guys have no problem with these men dating all these women, no matter what the situation calls for. No problem with that. But the second it is a same-sex relationship, suddenly it's taken away from the game. They're adding politics to Horizon Zero Dawn. The entire game is political. This is like being upset at politics in a Metal Gear game. The entire premise of Horizon, this entire franchise, is that the Earth was destroyed due to basically capitalism. And then they destroyed the Earth. In order to save it, they created these programs, which then took over. But that is why this world even exists as it does. For you to try to remove politics from the game means you want a completely different game. And then again, Aloy getting in a relationship with a woman, what does that take away? It doesn't take away from her character. It doesn't take away from the story. It's an additional. And again, it is the most boilerplate move Guerrilla Games could have made. This is an optional side quest on a DLC. This wasn't main storyline. It wasn't like you woke up and Aloy is in some chick's bed, having just completed like a fucking orgy from the night before. It is an optional quest. You guys are freaking out over something that you do not have to do. You're being upset at something that is not required. I could, again, potentially maybe sort of see your point if Aloy was just abandoning missions mid-mission because, uh-oh, hot chick just hit me up on my little focus, gotta go. But that's not the case. You can still do the things you want to do. You can just reject her too. Like, I'm losing my mind. This video is too long, I'm losing my mind. This is dumb, you guys. This is stupid.